and we're going to see who would win. Obviously, I'm going to be Marshall. That's the team I'm going to take over as, but I'm not going to play any. We're just going to sim. But here is a look at some of the custom schedules. Look at Marshall's. It's pretty wild. We got Miami, Ohio, TSA, Virginia Tech, LSU. That's a tough one. FCS East, open. They have 3 buys in a row. I don't know if I've ever seen that. In Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, UAB, Michigan State, Maryland, Miami, and Memphis. But let's go ahead and take a look at the conference if they'll let us. I don't think they will. By the way, this is going to be on Heisman, 15-minute quarters, injuries on, home field effect on. Obviously, 15-minute quarters, we're not going to be playing any. We're not going to hop into any game. We're just going to sim, and we're going to see, because this is a cool experiment. And we're going to go through this, and see who gets the Heisman and all that good stuff. So, that being said, let's get and start season. So, this should be interesting. The recruiting's all on the CPU. I'm not doing none of it. So, whoever Marshall gets, they get. Obviously, I don't think Marshall's going to have any national championship hopes or run, but you never know. You never know. That's why we're here doing this. Should be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. I think Michigan's got a good chance of going far in this. I think we're going to see a matchup with LSU and Michigan in the Conference USA Championship. I have looked at a lot of Conference USA, mainly because my team Marshall's in it, but the ACC, you got Alabama, so it's going to be crazy. But if you guys want to know how the rules went, so every team is in alphabetical order in the conference, and say it's like Alabama, well, what conference do they go to? How do you know all teams the teams out of A go to in alphabetical order? Well, you go to the conference that's highest in alphabetical order, so that's how it works. So I'm excited. Pretty excited. I kind of just wish we could hurry up and advance to the regular season, but it takes time. Sorry, nobody's bothering me. Where is... Okay, so the preseason polls. So we got 1 Alabama, 2 Ohio State, 3 Georgia, 4 Clemson, 5 Notre Dame, 6 Texas A&M, 7 Utah, 8 Michigan, 9 Oklahoma, 10 Baylor, 11 Oregon, 12 Oklahoma State, 13 NC State, 14 USC, 15 Michigan State, 16 Miami, 17 Pittsburgh, 18 Wisconsin, 19 Arkansas, 20 Kentucky, 21 Ole Miss, 22 Wake Forest, 23 Cincinnati, 24 Houston, and 25 BYU. So we got Houston, BYU all there. Pretty interesting. But anyways, the coaches poll don't really matter because they don't go by that. But so yeah. Now let's see. Conference outlook might be interesting. So Marshall's predicted to be 8th in their conference. So this is pretty interesting. We get to see where they're predicted to be in their conference, and as no one's surprised, Michigan's predicted to be 1. I'm a little shocked that, which I think this is based off ranking, obviously, but I think that's a pretty good ranking for Marshall. I don't think you can put them above Memphis. I think they got a fair rating. I think they could have been lower, and they got a fair rating. I don't think Michigan State will end up being 2, though. I think it's going to be Michigan. I think LSU is going to sneak up to number 2. Miami 3, or Michigan State 3, then Miami 4. I think that's how it's going to go. Louisville 4, Miami 5, Maryland 6, Memphis 7, Marshall 8. 9 Middleton's, Louisiana Tech 9, 10 Middle, Miami High last. Now in the independents, we have 2 teams because you have to have a team in a conference, and it just made sense to have these 2 teams because it fitted every, like for example, to see how many teams we put in a conference, since we saw how much was in it in real life, And if it was like 11 teams in the AAC, there was 11 teams in that conference in alphabetical order. So, in the independents, the reason we went 2, even though there's more than that in real life, in the revamped game, there's only 3 that's actually in the independents. So we're going to do 3, but it wouldn't fit all the conferences, the amount of teams, because there's less teams in revamp. So, or NCAA 14 in general. So what we did was just did 2, which may have fit every conference's needs in teams, which you'll get as we go. Notre Dame's picked first in the MAC. That's interesting. We're just going to go by these real fast and skim by them. NC State first in the East, which some of these have divisions. Notre Dame first in the West. Surprising. In the Mountain West, we have Ohio State. Oklahoma's also in it, and Oregon, and Oklahoma State, and Pittsburgh, Ole Miss. This is like the new SEC. As Rutgers will round it out there at the bottom. Ohio State's obviously picked first in the Mountain, and then in the West, Pittsburgh's picked first. I'm a little surprised. I probably would have picked Penn State, but I mean, I guess Pittsburgh's gonna be that team this year in the Mountain West side of the division. Tennessee first in the Pac-12. Really surprised. San Diego State jumps to second past South Carolina. Very surprising. I don't know if they'll be able to hold on to that. But Tennessee looks like the clear favorite here. In the Pac-12, San Diego State clears in the north, and then in the South, Tennessee clears. It's pretty obvious because they're split into divisions. Texas A&M is first in the SEC. They will remain in the SEC, but USC will be in the SEC. And Texas will be third. So USC is looking good this year. Although I'm surprised Texas A&M got the #1 spot ahead of USC. I think USC is going to finish above them. In the SEC East, Texas A&M, SEC West, USC. Sun Belt is Utah on top. And then at the bottom is Vanderbilt. And then, yeah, so Utah on top, Wisconsin next. Then Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is going to be a little bit better than Wisconsin this year. Kind of surprised Washington did not make it higher. I really thought they were going to make it higher, but they didn't. Sunbelt East, Utah clears, and Wisconsin clears in the West. Although I do think Washington will take over. I don't know. Washington State has a chance. West Virginia could possibly have a good season. And in the ACC, Alabama is just by far the best team. The only team that I think has a remotely close chance is Baylor and Arkansas. After that, although Auburn always has a chance, but they don't look real good this year, I think the only team that's got a chance this year against Bama is probably Baylor. In the Atlantic side of the ACC, they beat Bama, and then Coastal will beat Baylor. So we'll probably get a good championship game of that, I'm assuming. We'll see. In the American, Clemson is first. There is 11 teams in this one, so there is no divisions. Clemson clears, and then Cincinnati is like the only close team. It's definitely going to be between these two teams and BYU, I believe. After that, I don't know. You never know. Coastal might, have a crazy run. California every now and then has a good year. So I don't know. That'll be an interesting conference as well. And then we're back to the Big 12, where Georgia clears and Fresno's next. Hey, Fresno, it's cool to see Fresno up there too. I don't know how they're that high. I think Florida State and Florida both clear, and at least Florida State. I don't know if Fresno might be able to beat Florida and pass them up. I just don't think they got Florida State. The Big Ten, Kentucky is first. Next is Houston. I think this is going to be a toss-up conference. This is going to be a really good conference. Personally, my money's on the 4th-ranked team in the conference, Kansas State. I think they're going to have a great season. I think they're going to get #1. That does not really mean anything. The Jayhawks having a good recruit class, but they just don't believe in them. And I skipped too far. The Big Ten East, Houston will probably win. And the Big Ten West, Kentucky's on paper to win. I think Kentucky has a great shot, but my money's on Kansas State. That's the second team. Winning that, and then we're back to Conference USA. So that's going to give you, all the conferences preview there. And then the Heisman watch, we'll go ahead and take a look at it. We got Kyle McCord out of Ohio State, Hunter Johnson out of Clemson, Jalen Monroe out of Alabama. Hobbs Nyberg out of BYU, and Jalen Kitna out of Florida. Preseason All-Americans, if you want to take a look at this, here you go. Sorry if I'm going too fast. There's first team, second team. We're just going to go by the score fast. I don't really care much about this other than really the Heisman. So, and championship contenders. So, this is going to be interesting. Marshall is... Okay, so let's see. They got a deep... This is kind of confusing, but let's just see who's number 1 on the list. I would be very shocked if it wasn't Bama. Bama's 1, so it's basically the same order as rankings, basically, so who cares about that? Toughest places to play. What is the toughest place right now to play at? Bryant-Denny Stadium. Not surprising. See if there's any games going on. Nope, no games yet. But so I think that's about all. So let's go ahead and advance week, and let's advance to the okay, so how many weeks there are? Okay, there's 15 weeks. We'll advance to week 8. But we're gonna ignore that. We are 4-1 this year. It's pretty crazy. And let's look at the remainder of our schedule. Like, we're gonna win that game. We're gonna win that game. We're gonna win that game. Oh my gosh, Michigan State's ranked 2, and Miami's ranked 3. Oh my gosh, Conference USA is wild. Let's go to conference standings, and we are currently 6th right now. I thought we were undefeated in the conference, but I forgot Miami, Ohio is in the conference. That was a bad loss. We should have definitely not lost to Miami, Ohio. That was a bad loss. I don't know how we did, but we did, and they're ahead of us. I don't know. I think we're having a great season. Michigan lost. I want to see who they lost to. They lost to Charlotte. Things get crazy. So here we go. First in Conference USA, we got Miami ranked 3, having a phenomenal season. Michigan State having a phenomenal season, ranked 2. Did not see this out of Miami. I didn't even see it out of Michigan State, to be honest with you. I thought they have a good season, but and Louisville 4-1, who I think is having a great season, who has got to be on the verge of getting ranked. And then you got Maryland there, and Michigan ranked 14, who I think is having an okay season. Not the best. And if we go to the Independents, Mississippi State 5-2, having a pretty okay season. Minnesota having an average season. The MAC, NC State leads the MAC. Northern Illinois 2nd, Missouri 3rd, Nebraska 4th, and then out of the way at the bottom, we got Notre Dame having a horrible season at 1-5. Wow. And Nevada is going to round them out, which doesn't surprise me. In the MAC East, NC State's leading, Nevada's last. In the MAC West, who would have thought Notre Dame would have been almost dead last? In my opinion, they're about dead last. They have the only team that's been worse is Ohio. So, and then in the Mountain West Conference, Oklahoma's having a great season. They're ranked 10. By the way, in the MAC, I want to point out NC State is the only ranked team. They're having a phenomenal season. They're ranked 4. Did not see that out of them undefeated. But anyways, in the Mountain West, Oklahoma first, ranked 4 or 10. Excuse me. Ole Miss ranked 15, having a good season. Oklahoma's having a good season, really good season. Ole Miss, I don't know. I'm not really impressed. They've had some losses, and I don't think they should be 15, to be honest with you. Or I don't know. But Ohio State 4-1, 6, reasonable. I don't know about Ole Miss being that high. I just don't. Penn State being ranked 12, 4-1. Oregon 4-1, ranked 7. A lot of ranked teams. Hey, Purdue up there 4-1, ranked 16. Surprised Louisville wouldn't get in the top 25 considering all these 4-1 teams and 5-2 teams in it. I think they deserve a little bit more respect. Rutgers is rounded out last, 0-5. I think that's what we expected, and Rice at the bottom too. Mountain West Conference. In the Mountain, Oklahoma leads, and last is Oklahoma State. In the Mountain West Conference, in the West, Penn State leads, which is what I expected. They had Pittsburgh, but as you can see, Pittsburgh has fallen off. They've not had a good season. They should have had a better season on paper, for sure. Penn State's definitely having a great season, and Rutgers is having what we expected for last in their side of the division. In the Pac-12, Temple is leading, which is shocking. I did not think Temple would be leading this conference. Tennessee on paper was my team to lead this conference. I think even the game thought that. And, yeah, they just... Wow, okay. So Tennessee is having a great year. Or is having a not a great year, average year, I should say. Gosh, I can't talk. They're not having the best year. They got throttled by TCU, so, yeah, and then last, San Jose State. I would expect it to have been higher, but I would have probably expected South Alabama to have been last, but hey, or Southern Miss, but still not surprised. Very surprised to see TCU ahead of Tennessee. Well, not really. That's a pretty cool matchup right there. But anyways, seeing Temple first is what shocks me on this conference. And then in the North, SMU leads at the North. That's something to keep an eye on. San Jose State last. Temple leads in the South. Another thing to keep an eye on. Can't believe it. And Stanford is last. In the SEC, Toledo will lead as they are 5-0. I cannot believe that. They're having a stellar of a season. In the SEC, wow, the Rockets go. They are ranked 23. They deserve more respect. They should be probably ranked 10 at least. UCLA's 24, they're 5-1. Reasonable. They should definitely be behind Toledo. UCF ranked 11, 4-1. In my opinion, that's way too high. I think Toledo should be ahead of UCF. USC ranked 8, 5-1. I mean, I guess that's reasonable. They're a really good team. But dang, how about them Rockets? Let's just see how they've gone. Had an incredible season, but they haven't got to the tough part of their schedule yet, as they still got 2 ranked teams to face. But if they can knock Texas and Texas A&M off, they could have an incredible season. And then in last to round it up is Texas State. Not surprising, 0-6. Tough year for the Bobcats. In the SEC East, Toledo first. Texas State is last. And then in the West, UCLA is first, which is a little bit surprising. I would have probably picked the rival USC, and UCF rounds out second. And then in last is UNLV. Not really a shocker. I probably would have. I'd probably pick UNLV over UTEP, but UTEP is one ahead in the conference, as UNLV is last. In the Sun Belt, Washington State is shocking everybody in the Sun Belt, although Washington is undefeated, so I'm not quite sure why Washington State shows ahead. I guess because they're one division win, and Washington has to play a division game yet. But they have won 2 conference games. But let's just put it this way: it's a 3-way. It's a pretty big tie, actually. There's a lot of teams that haven't lost a conference game, and there's one undefeated team out of Washington's ranked 19. Deserve way more respect. Should be way higher on the list. And let's give some props out to the Mountaineers. They're having a good season. As I thought it could happen, and they're having a good year. Washington State, though, is having a phenomenal season, too. They deserve to be ranked. West Virginia deserves to be ranked. They're not getting enough respect. And Washington is ranked, which is what it should be. Is how it should be. Utah's ranked 13. They're 3-2. I don't know why they're that high. Way too high. And then rounding it out last is UTSA. I'm not surprised they're rounding out last. I thought Wyoming would, but considering the way Marshall beat them after that game we lost, I'm not surprised to see why they're rounding out last. In the East, Virginia Tech is first. That's shocking. They did take a tough L to the Herd. Can't believe that. And then UTSA will round it out at the bottom, which we do. And then the Sun Belt West, Washington State's having a phenomenal season, same with Washington. And you can argue with West Virginia and Western Kentucky too as far as conference play. And then Wisconsin is last. In the ACC, number ranked 1, the team that we all expected, Alabama. They're having a great year. They're 6-0. I mean, what else do you expect? Boston College 4-1. They deserve to be ranked. They're having a great season. put some respect on the Eagles. Auburn is down third, and Auburn's always going to put up a good fight, especially when they play Alabama. That'll be interesting. Army having a tough year, but they're not having a terrible year. But rounding everything out is the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. Tough year. Same with Akron, kind of tied there, but same with Air Force. Air Force, I expected better of. Akron, I think they're playing above average with 2 wins, honestly, and then Arkansas State's just kind of what we expected. And then the ACC Atlantic, Alabama leads, Akron's on the bottom. ACC Coastal, Arkansas State's on the bottom, and Boston College leads in the Coastal. We don't expect that, but they are a fellow foe of the ACC, and they've always been in it, and just happen to be so they are still in it based off alphabetical order. And then in the American, BYU leads. I'm not shocked, actually. I'm not really shocked, but it's, BYU has really came with it this season. They've had a great season, ninth in the nation, 4-0. They deserve it. They've had a great year. California, I expected them to be up there. This is about what I expected out of them. Charlotte is having a great season. I've seen some of their wins, and they've been good. So don't count Charlotte out. They could still win this conference. Colorado State, average season. I would say a little above average maybe for them. They're having a good season. Colorado, not that good of a season. Cincinnati, I expected better out of them at this point in the season, as they're 4-2, and Coastal having a coastal, not really a coastal type season, a very average season. Bowling Green, average season. Central Michigan, below average, and Clemson, 1-4. Cannot believe Clemson's 1-4. Clemson has been such a disappointment this season, and then rounded up is Buffalo, which arguably is tied with Clemson. Wow. Did not expect that. I skipped too far. In the Big 12, first place we got Florida State, ranked 21. They're 3-1. They're not having as good a season as I might have thought. I thought they would be a 4-0 at this point, but 3-1's not bad either. They might have played Georgia, so I'm going to go ahead and check on that. And they did play the Bulldogs, and they did beat Georgia. So credit to them. Georgia's only loss is to Florida State, so they do get first place ahead of them because of that, and I think, frankly, so they deserve it. Georgia's second, and they're having a great season, but I think the Seminoles right now has proven to be the best team in the Big 12. East Carolina having a great season, which is, a little surprising. They're up there in conference play for sure. Fresno State having a good season, but then they lost 2 conference games, so I don't know. We'll see how that fares out. And Georgia Southern rounding out last. That's what I expected. Although I think you could have argued Eastern Michigan or Georgia State could have been down there for FAU, but those teams, were able to get wins, and Georgia Southern wasn't, so could have won either way. Kansas is having a phenomenal season. Don't sleep on Kansas. I said this earlier. They're having a great season, leading it out in the Big 10. Kentucky doing Kentucky things, and ranked 17. Kansas needs to be ranked. They're 5-0. Why are they not ranked? They're playing in one of the best conferences there is in football. Put them ranked. And then you got Illinois having a great season as well. Kent State having a good conference play so far. Iowa State having a good season. Kansas State, my team that I predicted to win this conference. They're not winning it, but you never know. There's a lot of season left. I really thought they'd be doing better. I thought they'd only have 1 loss at this point. Houston. Is having a tough year. Not a very good year, down year for Houston. Same with Iowa. James Madison having if not that good of a year. Georgia Tech, they've never been great, so I can't really. Indiana, average. ULM, I say average for them in this conference. Louisiana, expected more out of them. Hawaii rounded out last, not surprised. In the Big 10 East, you got Illinois first. That's crazy, and Hawaii last. In the West, you got Kansas first and Louisiana last. Did not expect Louisiana to be that bad. And then in Conference USA, you got Miami first, as we already went over. So that breaks it down for the conferences. Let's go to the Heisman watch and let's see what's up there. So first, we got Jamar Gibbs for Alabama, running back. Just comes out of the blue. Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. Not really shocking. Will Levis, senior. He's going to be up there. He's having a phenomenal season. Jordan Houston having a phenomenal season as well for NC State. Not surprised. NC State's having a great season. And then Micah Kelly from Toledo, red shirt. Running back, man, he's having a good season. Isn't he going to be something in the next couple of years with these Sims? Oh my goodness. So, championship contenders. See how it looks now. So there's the new list. There's no really point looking at it. Kind of annoying to look at. Players of the week. Yeah. Worst place to play. We can go ahead and look at what's the toughest place to play. So right now, I think it's still got to be Bryant-Denny Stadium. And it's not. It's Gaylord Stadium now. So it is Oklahoma. Bryant-Denny's third. I don't know how they go down considering Oklahoma lost. But, you know, that's because it wasn't at home. Now the top 25 polls is something I'm very interested in. Alabama 1, Michigan State 2, Miami 3, NC State 4, Georgia 5, Ohio State 6, Oregon 7, USC 8, BYU 9, Oklahoma 10, UCF 11, and Penn State 12, Utah 13, Michigan 14, Ole Miss 15, Purdue 16, Kentucky 17, Texas A&M 18, Washington 19, Texas 20, Florida State 21, Kansas State 22, Toledo having a phenomenal season, one of the only G5 schools to be at 20 in the top 25 as 23, UCLA 24, and Tennessee 25. I really thought more G5 schools would be in the top 25 now that we have this new conference shakeup. But you see, we only got BYU's Independence. I don't know which count them as, but UCF's technically G5 for now. But I don't know. It's not very impressive to see them up there, though, so I could expect that out of them. Love to see Toledo, though, doing as good as they are. Receiving votes, Pittsburgh, TCU. Pittsburgh, I don't think deserves to be there. They've had a bad season. Glad to see West Virginia on there. I don't think Fresno State should be on there. I just don't. SMU and Auburn. And there's the dropouts. I think Kansas deserves it, honestly, but that's just me, and this is the KG. But anyways, that doesn't matter. Now we're going to go and we're going to sim to the conference championship. Okay. So this is how things ended up. And we are on conference championship weekend. And let's go to conference standings to see how everybody finished up. Michigan State fell off hard, and I saw that coming. Michigan, I mean, especially when we beat them, I knew that was coming. I want to see if we beat them at their place. Yeah, we beat them at Michigan, so that's crazy. We finished 5th, which is, we were supposed to finish 8th. We had a above average season. Maryland 4th, Louisville 3rd, and I did say Louisville would be up there. Miami 1st, and Michigan 2nd. I do expect more out of Michigan. Miami finishes ranked 3rd in the nation with one loss coming to Florida State. Florida State had a phenomenal season. Mississippi State had a pretty good season. Minnesota turned their season around a little bit. In the MAC, Missouri, shocking, and then North Carolina up there as well. Finishing last, Nevada. They never just got anything going. In the MAC East, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio in the West. Ohio in last. Mountain West Conference, Oklahoma finished 1st. and then Rice finished last. Not surprising. Rutgers was dead last pretty much as well. Oklahoma, though, had a good season. They played great in the conference, but working overall, I thought they had a great season too. But I think Oklahoma just had a little bit better of a season. And Penn State as well, and Purdue. Those 4 teams played great all year. So does Pittsburgh. I mean, those 5-6 teams, kind of Ohio State, all just played great. I mean, that's a great conference in the Mountain West. But in the MAC, or Mountain West Mountain, I mean, Oklahoma finished first in the Dominion, last. Penn State first in the West, Rice last in the West. I said Penn State would finish first. They did. Pittsburgh, I thought would fall off, and Purdue even overtook them, which I thought could happen, but I don't think it would happen. In the Pac-12, Tennessee was first. Didn't have the best overall record, really, even though they finished first. But the thing is, when the conference play came, they played well. And then finishing last would be South Alabama. In the North, SMU finished first in the Pac-12, which is surprising. I expected. San Diego State did not finish up there, and I thought they had a good chance. I really liked SMU, and you know they finished first. They have a really good chance of winning this division, and they did. And it doesn't surprise me they won. I probably would have picked South Carolina. And then in the South, you have Tennessee, who just manhandled in conference play. They played bad out of conference play, but when conference play came, they played great. That's why TCU would finish third, and Tennessee would finish first. I don't know how they didn't get ranked, but they did. And then Syracuse would finish 21. In the SEC, Texas would finish 14, USC 4, and they would be first, Texas, and USC would be second. In the East of the SEC, Texas would be first, Texas State would be last, which they never had. They never played good all year. Toledo just fell off. I want to see if they beat Texas, and they didn't. They fell off, and then they lost at Texas State. Was Toledo's only loss all year to Texas State. Texas State should have never won a game. Oh my gosh, Toledo fell off hard. Texas A&M, though, had a pretty solid year. In the West, USC finished first. They had a phenomenal season. They could easily make it to the championship game. And UTEP finished last. They never had a good. They never played great all year. But UNLV was last at the time, so that is a little surprising to see them fall off so hard. And UNLV finished the year pretty good as they made a bowl game. Washington Huskies is going to be your number 1 ranked team. That's pretty crazy. And then Utah will be 10. They just fell off. West Virginia had a great season. I think they deserve to be ranked. Same with Washington State. Great season by them too. And then Virginia Tech had an average season, and then after that it kind of falls off. Really didn't think Wake Forest would have that bad of a season, but they did. And then last, you got Wyoming, who I expected to be last in the conference. But they weren't beginning, but now they are because they just took a lot of L's. In the East, Utah was first, Utah State was last. Not surprised. Washington was first in the West. Not surprising, because I probably would have picked them. And I said watch out for Washington, and they had a phenomenal season. West Virginia had second. Maybe they could be a sleeper team, and Wyoming would round it all out last. In the ACC, Alabama just had an awesome year, like they always do, ranked 2. So we might get to see Washington and Alabama in the championship if they don't lose their conference championship game. And then rounding it out last would be Arkansas State, which would finish 2-10. They were always last. They just never had a chance. Boston College finished strong. What a year for Boston College. I want to see if Temple was going to. Okay, Temple was doing good at one conference. In the Atlantic and the ACC, Alabama finished first. Last was Appalachian State. Didn't expect Appalachian State to finish last in 2-10. I really thought they'd have a better season than that. And Air Force completely turned their season around. So props to them. Akron honestly didn't have that bad of a season for being Alabama side. Boston College finished first in the Coastal, so we will see Boston College versus Alabama. That's pretty crazy. And then Arkansas State finished last, which they just never got things going in that side of the division. BYU and the American finished first. They had a phenomenal year, ranked 7. They could somehow maybe sneak in if a lot of teams would lose their conference championship game. But either way, they had a phenomenal season. Cal Bears had a good season. They finished second. Cincinnati was able to pick things up and finish third. Clemson just never really could get back to it. Like, they just never had a good season. I mean, they just never turned the season around. They kind of stayed where they were at all year. And then they just had a terrible season. Buffalo finished last in the conference at 2-10. They just had a very bad season, and then Coastal finished pretty strong. So, and then Central Michigan having a great year in the conference. Obviously, Central Michigan. In the Big 12, you got Florida State leading off. They had a great season. I want to see who their losses were to. Lost to Maryland by 14, which is the loss that they probably shouldn't have had, and lost to Florida by 7. And I really thought they were going to have a better season, Florida, and they did. They did. They had a better record and conference record, so in my book, they did. But Florida, I mean, they shouldn't have lost to Florida. That was a difference maker in them making the playoffs or not, I believe, or having a shot at least. They don't really have a shot now. Georgia is going to finish third at 10-2. They had a great season as well. They just did not play well enough in conference play, as they did lose to Florida State. I don't know if they lost to Florida, so I'm going to go check that out. They did lose to Florida, so Florida had won some big games this year. You could argue they should be higher, and in my opinion, they should be. East Carolina had a pretty good year as well, and then after that it drops off. Georgia Southern just had a terrible year. Same with Fresno. Fresno started off close to getting the top 25, and they fell off big time as well. In the Big 12, now we go to the Big 10. Kansas State's first. And I told you Kansas State would finish strong to be first. Kansas just never could keep things going, and Kansas State would finish first. Would they beat Kansas? They would. And Kansas State will rule the Big 10. James Madison finished strong. Illinois had a great season. So did Kentucky. Georgia Tech did pretty good. But rounding it all out last is the Raging Cajuns using Lafayette. In the Big 10 East, Georgia Tech led the division. I cannot believe that. They started off terrible. Yeah, they started off horrible. I can't believe they led, and they came back and took over the Fighting Illinois. I can't believe that. Hawaii finished last, and I was surprised. In the West, Louisiana finished last. They never got things going. Louisiana Monroe literally had a better season than them, and Kansas State finished first. I'm not a 7 East Georgia Tech. I cannot believe this finished great. They did. Miami finished first in Conference USA, and Marshall fifth. That's pretty much the rundown. Memphis did finish last. I can't believe that. They just really fell off. Louisiana Tech was able to finish in front of them, so they must have beat them head-to-head, but they did not have the better overall record. But yeah, that's going to do it for standings. Let's look at top 25 polls. First was Washington, second Alabama, third Miami, fourth USC, fifth Georgia, sixth Kansas State, 7 Oklahoma, 8 BYU, 9 Florida State, 10 Missouri, 11 Utah, 12 TCU, 13 Penn State, 14 Texas, 15 Oregon, 16 Purdue, 17 Ohio State, 18 North Carolina. I think this is the right rankings. I'm not sure which one you go by. 19 Michigan, 20 Florida, 21 Pitt, 2 Syracuse, 23 Kentucky, 24 NC State, 25 Michigan State. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm not wrong on these. You might go by the coaches for must be the AP. Yeah, that's the AP, I think. So an AP. No, that's not the playoffs. Well, the receiving votes, The AP had Kansas, Mississippi State, Louisville, Boston College, SMU, West Virginia, UAB, Illinois, and dropped out Louisville. West Virginia deserved more respect. Kansas deserved to be in there. I don't know how they didn't get in there. They deserved it. Boston College had a phenomenal season. They should be up there. But yeah, that's pretty much going to round it out. Before we get into it, we're going to look at the Heisman watch. And Blake Corum did finish up there. And he did phenomenal end of the season. He's a great player, and that doesn't shock me. Deuce Vaughn would be second. He went down, but he had a great season. He could easily win it. I think he's going to win it next year if Blake doesn't. Tola Papa from Washington, Wayne Tola. I mean, I don't know who he is, but he came out of nowhere, running back. Running backs dominated the Heisman watches 4 winning. Jameer Gibbs, he finished, strong. Wayne had to, play good if Washington wanted any chance of winning a national championship, and he balled out. Max Duggan balled out for TCU. What else do you expect is Max Duggan? Sadly, he's a senior and he'll be gone next year, but hey, he had a great year, and he finished as a Heisman candidate. Ultimately, Blake Corum winning. And here's some of the bowl projections. But anyway, that's besides the point. Let's go ahead and see who wins these championship games. So we're going to pass the conference championship games, and we will see who wins these conference championship games. I want to inform you guys right now, though. I hope you guys enjoyed these. I'm going to try to do more of these. We are only going to do one season, just to let you guys know. I think one season keeps it to where it don't get too boring, but we find out who actually wins. And so yeah, we're going to do one season, not 2 or 3. I think 3 just takes too long, and it gets boring. So we're going to do one season whenever we do these kind of experiment videos. A lot of work was put into this beforehand, so I appreciate a follow. So yeah, Deuce Vaughn would finish as the Heisman. I thought Blake Corum was going to get it, but he didn't. So, and I would be playing Marshall in the Gasparilla Bowl. Which is the team I am as I'm simming this, but that's besides the point. So we will go to the conference championship games. First off, conference championship week. Okay, let's get back. Conference championship week in the MAC. Championship, North Carolina versus Missouri. Ranked 13, ranked 16. Give it to the Tar Heels, 38-24. Utah versus Washington. Utah wins 35-24. USC versus Texas. Texas wins. Utah pulls off the upset against Washington in the Sun Belt Championship, which actually, now that I think of it, puts Washington out of the College Football Championship. That's crazy. As I said, USC loses to Texas. That's kind of surprising. I think that's a little bit of an upset there. I would definitely say that's an upset, because remember, these rankings are after they lost, so that's an upset in SEC Championship. In the Mountain West Championship, we have Oklahoma versus Penn State. Oklahoma gets a big win. I probably expected that. Not that big of a win, though. And Boston College plays a very tough Alabama team. They play them tough. Alabama's just that good, and they get the win 7-3. Tennessee would get the win over SMU. Tennessee was just the better team. They kind of just outmanned them, I believe, in this one. But SMU had a phenomenal season. They had nothing to hang their heads about in the Pac-12 championship. As Alabama also wins the ACC championship. Kansas State would beat Georgia Tech in the Big 10 championship. Can't believe Georgia Tech actually made it. Props to them. Kansas State was just better, and I predicted them to win in this conference. Now the thing is there's ranked 2 did not play in the conference championship games. That's pretty crazy. So we'll have Alabama versus someone. But like I said, I can't believe Georgia Tech made it that far. But you know, Kansas State balled out because Deuce Vaughn won Heisman. But here's the moment of truth. Who will win the national championship? So let's see if we can sim let's go to the bowl games and let's sim and watch the national championship. So that'd be pretty cool. I don't think I can, but that's okay. I'll see if I can get it here. If I can, what it is. Okay, I see it. Oh my God. Now, here we go. Here is your national championship. We have Miami Hurricanes on the left, Alabama on the right. Will Miami break the drought? We're gonna see.
Field for the first
So here we
drive
go.
of the game.
Alabama is gonna be snapping the ball. We're gonna watch a couple of plays here.
Tackled after a decent run up the gut. Alabama's got a guy that statistically is leading the conference right now, and he has got the attention of everybody in the.
And let's sim the rest of the way. Let's get back into the game. So here we go. Alabama gets on the board first. Miami gets a field goal. Miami gets another field goal. Miami's got 7. And Alabama gets 7. Miami has got 7. Miami gets again. They got 7. Miami might just win. They got 7. Miami's got 7 again. Alabama's going to get 7. Alabama gets 7 again. Are we going to see the most unreal comeback? Oh my God, Alabama just got 7 again. Alabama wins. They come back from town. Oh my gosh. They come back from down. It was 41-14. I'm sorry, Miami fans. So that concludes this. Oh my gosh. And there you have it, folks. Alabama is your national champions. They outscore Miami 28-0 in the fourth quarter to win the national championship.